Friends, at this time we are going to begin our services for Hardye, Simons, Moel. I'll ask if you have a cell phone or any other noise-making device, if you'd please take a moment now to turn those off or place those in the silent mode during your service. And officiating our services today is Rabbi Adam Shalom.
Hardye Moel has died. She fought cancer for 6 long years. She fought hard. She fought with hope. She fought with support of her family and friends, and above all, her husband, Don. She continued her life's work of connecting with and helping other people throughout her treatment. She was with people she loved when she died. She did not lose to cancer. She stayed who she was. Rabbis don't always have the opportunity to meet the people whose eulogy they are to deliver, and I always appreciate those brave enough to look reality in the face and to accept what cannot be changed. I had a conversation with Hardye over FaceTime in her hospice room just 2 weeks ago. She apologized during the conversation for her mind sometimes wandering. And I said to her, you're still much more focused than most healthy people that I know. I can only imagine how sharp her mind was at its best. Hardye accepted reality, and she faced it with courage. She lived out the wisdom articulated in Jewish tradition in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, which I will read first in Hebrew and then in English. Lekol zman ve'et lechol chafetz tachat hashamayim, et laledet ve'et lamut, et latat ve'et lakor natua, et laharog ve'et lirpo, et livrot ve'et livnot, et livkot ve'et lischok, et tzfod ve'et rokod, et leashlich avanim ve'et knos avanim, et lachabok ve'et lirchok mechabek, et levakesh ve'et le'abed, et lishmor ve'et leashlich, et likroa ve'et litpor, et lechashot ve'et ledaber, et le'ehov ve'et lisno, et milchama ve'et shalom. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Hardye loved her family, but if there was a close second, it might have been the theater. Why? The theater is actors pretending to be someone else, but their artifice reveals moving insights into the truths of the human condition and of our own hearts. Words and music reveal to us who we really are, why we do what we do, and they also uplift our spirits with beauty and talent and the community of an audience experiencing the show. Is it any wonder that Hardye, the loving wife and mother and grandmother and friend and therapist, any wonder that she loved theater and dance performances and musicals, sometimes crying as she watched what she loved? Her first degree was a BFA, and she did master's degree work in directing before her life detoured. Hardye found special joy in seeing her child and then her granddaughters doing what she loved to experience. Perhaps we can use the theater as a way to understand Hardye's life and legacy. Those songs that stay with us as the show ends, becoming anthems for who she was and what we will remember. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. When Hardye Simons was born in 1947, she received an unconventional name. Her brothers were John, David, Peter. But she was named Hardye after her mother's father, who had roots in Ireland. Evidently, according to Ancestry.com, he also had roots in Germany. But complicated roots is par for the course for Jewish families in the 20th century. Hardye grew up in Morton Grove, Illinois, later moving to Highland Park and then ultimately to Chicago proper. Her father was a hard-working doctor who acted for a hobby, by the way, and her mother ran a household with 4 children after having worked for her parents professionally. Hardye attended high school in Park Ridge, where she met lifelong friends, and then in Highland Park and ultimately at Boston University, where she majored in theater. After meeting her first husband, she changed fields from theater to advertising, though she did do some work in casting, putting the right person in the right role. But the next act of her life was really when her children changed her life, as they always do. Hardye's was a Jewish family, both growing up and in her own home raising her own children. And when people think of Jewish and theater, they inevitably think of Fiddler on the Roof and tradition, even though the show is actually about the breakdown of tradition in favor of freedom and choice and love. Most Jews have made choices like Hardye did about their tradition, grappling with how much to keep and how much to cast away. Her children, Kate and Adam, were raised in synagogues, they attended Jewish summer camps, and they celebrated home Jewish holidays like Hanukkah and Passover with family and with joy. Hardye was glad that her granddaughters also got Jewish educations, picking them up after Sunday school to take them out to lunch or celebrating holidays together. However, we must confess, there was a part of her that always liked Christmas. And in her last years, the family put on a big Christmas dinner for her with all the trimmings you can only imagine, even having Adam fly in for a surprise. When it came time to make decisions about the end of her life, it was important to Hardye to have a Jewish memorial in a beautiful space. And so here we are. Beauty was an important part of Hardye's life. Not just being able to sing from West Side Story, "I Feel Pretty," though that was also true. On my FaceTime call with her 2 weeks ago, she said, "I'm usually an attractive woman, so it's been hard for my family to watch this decline." She did enjoy the finer things, clothes, jewelry, what we might call tchotchkes at home, as well as fine art. She was a member of the Museum of Modern Art, a de rigueur visit when Adam came to town. She enjoyed the Art Institute of Chicago, and she indeed was always an attractive person, both visually and by personality. She was not just pretty, she was pretty and witty and positive. She could be silly and free with her friends, and we'll hear from one of her lifetime friends soon as a testament to what a good friend she could be even through tough times. As a parent, Hardye was involved, sometimes over-involved, but always a very present and interested parent. If Kate was placed in a certain position in the choir, Hardye was interested in how and why and what impact that would have on the social dynamics. Hardye was a normal amount of strict, though evidently her connection with Adam got better once he was off to college, and they became adult-style friends. Both of them were loving and present through her battle with cancer, and if she was drawing from Les Mis and fighting for one day more each day, it was also because they were caring for her along with Don. And Hardye was tremendously motivated by her granddaughters, Celia and Simone, sharing what she wanted them to know about her and about the family, how proud she was of them, and how much their Bama loved them. She always wanted to do things with them, to give them positive memories and experiences, taking them to their first musicals, out for ice cream in Michigan, shopping trips, vacations on Martha's Vineyard, and asking them about everything, even what necklace they were wearing with their New Year's Eve outfit. And all those outings after Sunday school to the pet shop with bunnies and birds. Though that was also about her love for animals. One of Hardye's favorite vacations of all time was a trip to South Africa 3 years ago, despite her illness, to see Cape Town and the end of the African continent, and then a safari near the Kruger National Park with amazing wildlife. She even accepted lizards into her home so they could have animals despite Adam's persistent allergies. The 1980s saw 2 major changes in Hardye's life. In 1983, at a friend's 40th birthday party, some enchanted evening, as they sing in South Pacific, she indeed met a stranger across a crowded room named Don. Knowing that he was going out to Martha's Vineyard the next day, despite a freshly broken ankle, she took a detour from her visit to her parents in Connecticut. She looked up his name in the phone book, if you remember what a phone book was, and she gave him a call. They had a wonderful day on the beach, and they started a relationship that led to marriage in 1987. When I asked Hardye to talk to me about Don, she said simply that he is the love of her life, a loving partner and a perfect caregiver through difficult times. Don declines the credit, saying it's not hard to care for someone you love, but he definitely answered the call, spending every night with her, even in hospice, pulling back from his work and his life to focus on her. And her children and grandchildren know and appreciate all that he did. He says that she taught him many things: how to be more generous, the uselessness of holding grudges. He told me that when you love someone, you do everything. And he knows that she would have done the same for him, with patience, dedication, and love. Indeed, Hardye was a person who was about connecting with other people. And as we know from the show Funny Girl, people who need people are the luckiest people in the world. Hardye made personal connections with everyone, from her cleaning person and her dog walker to hospital visitors, to most importantly, those who came to her to talk through their challenges. That other major change in the 1980s was a shift in her professional career to become a psychotherapist for the last 35 years. And that shift brought great meaning and purpose to her life. Her practice downtown and in Oak Park, her work as a founding board member of the Institute for Clinical Social Work, even taking new patients and having sessions despite her own treatment in the last years, these were vital to her sense of self. Hardye told me herself that she loved her practice. She was as interested in and intrigued by people the last day as on the first day. Her children reported that therapy mode didn't always turn off at home. Adam said that she was all about the meaningful psychotherapeutic relationship, so if you came to just shoot the breeze, she let you know that you were not leaving until you opened up and really shared. She was a person who needed people and who was fascinated by people and who helped people using her intelligence and her insight and her empathy for them to help themselves. The last 6 years have been very hard for Hardye and for those who cared for her. Lung cancer diagnosis, full courses of treatment, including radiation and chemo, even experimental drugs that helped her to live longer. Even then, she put her energies into helping others, raising money for cancer research and peer support, maintaining her practice, making the most of her time left. When she entered hospice care last month, she knew it was time to take a page from The Sound of Music and be ready to say, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. And now we must accept that it is our turn to say goodbye, which is why we are here today. Hardye's life was a work of art, a master performance in how to touch people's lives for the better. If you want to remember her, just think of the themes that help to define her life, the melodies that we will take with us. Maybe one day you'll say, I feel pretty, and the next you're fighting for one day more with the family you love deeply and fiercely. You may meet a stranger some enchanted evening, as Hardye met Don, and if you make loving connections with family and friends and community and your work, you might say to yourself, people who need people are the luckiest people in the world. And if, in a few years or in many years, your turn comes to face reality, to realize that there is a time to laugh and a time to cry, a time to hold and a time to let go, a time to dance and a time to mourn, a time to be born and a time to die. May we all face this reality with the strength and the courage that Hardye showed. It was her finest performance. Brava. to share their thoughts and experiences of this person who was so close to them. We will hear first from her close friend, Susie Piser, her son, Adam Glickman, her daughter, Kate Glickman, a musical presentation, and finally, her husband, her caregiver, her rock, Don. And so we begin with Susie.
Like most of you, I felt as if I was Hardye's best friend, and I know so many of you felt that way. Hardye and I met almost 48 years ago at Grant Hospital, lying on the floor, pregnant with our daughters, our first children, practicing our breathing because, of course, even then, she wanted to be clear-headed and present, completely present. We had our daughters days apart, and we went through everything together. We spoke on the phone 3-4 times a day. We walked to the zoo. We walked to the Botanic Gardens. We ate lunch at this great new restaurant, RJ Grunt's. And we talked, and we talked. How do you do this? How do you do that? Is it okay to use disposable diapers? Can you get me some? Our pacifier is terrible. There was no internet. And then Hardye moves to River Forest, and I am bereft. We talk on the phone 5-6 times a day. And then I get a call, and she's pregnant with Adam. And she asks my permission to use the name that I had chosen for my next child, which I gave her. Shortly thereafter, Hardye decides she's going to become a therapist, and I am her biggest fan. But I think she's crazy because she's got 2 small kids at home, and she's going to go to graduate school. And she does, beautifully, brilliantly, as always. We get involved in a doctoral program. We start a clinic. Life goes on, and we share everything. Conversations about our parents, conversations about our kids, conversations about her brothers, my sisters, our husbands. And then she and Don moved to Denver. Donald. But thankfully they come back, and they come back to the city, and we get to see each other. And we go to the theater, and we go to movies, and we go to better restaurants than RJ Grunt's. And she's the only one that'll go to the ballet with me, so we do that. We go to New York a lot. We go to theater in New York. We talk. I get invited to Michigan and to the Vineyard. And then 6 years ago, she gets diagnosed with cancer. And we talk, and we cry, and we talk. And then she lives her life more fully than ever. I think it was Maya Angelou who said, you don't really always remember what people say. You might not remember what they do, but you remember how they make you feel. And Hardye made me feel everything deeply. And I think there's no greater gift. I think she made all of us feel that way. Lucky us. Lucky, lucky us.
Thank you for all being here. All right. Mom was my confidant, my friend. She was my 24-hour crisis hotline. Like the best life coach and closest companion combined. She had a particular skill set in medical diagnosis, which we debated ad infinitum. However, she drew the line at business mergers and acquisitions. Mom loved getting to the root truth, the base emotional reality. She knew instantly by my tone how the sun and stars were aligned in my personal world. She had the uncanny ability to detect issues and problems before I was even aware of them. And she had more insight in my state of mind than I did. We spent the first 20 minutes on the phone or FaceTime getting directly to the bottom of it, and another intense bout of therapy inevitably began. I'm not a parent, but I know enough to know it's not an easy gig. Shall we say, you don't always see eye to eye with your kid through the years. But when that happened with us, Mom always loved me. Sometimes I was more in touch with that than other times, but I can say her love was there no matter what. Okay, here we go. I want to remember Mom's courage. So many not fun medical meetings, treatments, scans, etc. She was tough and did not give up. An example is when we flew out to Boston to meet with a surgeon at Brigham Young Hospital. He reviewed her scans and in 5 minutes told her she was a perfect candidate for the less invasive procedure. Her eyes lit up. She wasn't angry or scared, but pleased and thankful. She actually smiled her big, gummy, hearty smile. Here I want to thank Nan and Ron Hoffman for paving the way for Mom to receive exceptional care at that hospital. I was thrilled that the debates we had made a difference. She went on to pursue all the therapies offered, immensely grateful to have a chance at improving her quality of life. I also want to recognize both Kate and Don for their exceptional efforts to make Mom's life better and more enjoyable, and to allow her more opportunities to do the things that she loved. These included visiting with friends and family, and of course, interrogating her son as to the pressing snafus of the week. Okay. All right. When it really counted, Kate and Don were there for Mom in ways that really mattered. I remember when we were with Mom after her surgery in Boston. They were literally glued to the readouts, instantaneously reporting vitals to the nursing staff. If there is a definition of guardian angel, they both fit the bill. I witnessed my sister transform into a caregiver whose compassion was more powerful than I had seen or heard of. And as for Don, he measured out Mom's morphine with a microscope and used advanced math for the best outcomes with next to no sleep for weeks on end. He did all of this with joy and a surprising sense of humor. He loved Mom. Kate was amazing with Mom these last 6 months and made my visits with her extremely enjoyable. All the while, Don showed patience and loving kindness that I can only aspire to. Thank you as well to all Mom's friends and family, your visits, your cookies, your texts and calls, your Thanksgiving dinners, your best-selling character inclusions. These things miraculously returned Mom from agony to her familiar, vivacious presence. Kate shared a story with me about Mom's last moments. Some nurses were teasing each other, and Mom found the chutzpah to summon a meaningful laugh. Exactly. To be able to smile and enjoy friends and family and strangers while being profoundly ill takes real grit. It was a long ending and rough ground, but beautiful parts too. I'm sorry it got so tough, Mom, but I'm grateful for your love and for your example. Thank you. I miss you. And David would like me to read a little passage, which is on my phone, and I have to turn it on. So hold on 1 second. So just give me patience here. Just 1 second. All right. From David, her brother. Hi, Hardye. I miss you. There's so much love swirling around you, texts flowing and growing. We are all with you. Kate is freaking amazing, caring, loving, and supportive to all of us. This is that question being answered. Quote, am I loved and have I loved? Fuck yes. You are all and more heart. Thank you.
My mom comforted me a lot the day before she died. That was the day that the harpist came into her room for some music therapy. Usually my mom turned her away when she came. She was very honest and direct in the end, and it was the best. She said everything she thought. She was very funny about it. You know, she called a lot of people assholes, and I just loved it. Anyway, the harpist comes in, and Mom is really sleepy that day. She looked good that day, I thought. I remember thinking. Her skin looked more full and less dry. She was drinking fluids again. And I had come from having a difficult conversation with my daughter, and I walked in and I was crying a little. And she pulled me to her and she said, honey, what's wrong? She knew exactly. She knew my pain and my fears. She knew everything without my having to say a word. And I knew everything she was thinking too. Mothers and daughters, man. One time when Don was talking about this female doctor who he thought highly of, and Mom was on morphine and so sleepy she couldn't really talk. And I heard her just grunt like, ah. And I said, Don, she is telling you to stop talking about that woman. She doesn't want you to talk about that woman. And Don didn't even hear. And I said, Mom, am I right? And she's like, uh-huh. And then we laughed. I did that a lot while we were there. I knew my mom. I knew exactly how she felt. And she didn't have to say a thing. It was always like that between us. It is a complicated thing, you know, to be able to read each other so well. And yet it is universal. I could feel my mom's phone ring before it did. Twice, once at 7:31, and then again at 8:30. And then I'd call her back and we would talk every day. I could read her frustrations and with whom, and her worries, and how she wanted things to go. And she knew mine, the way you know your own self. Isn't that a line from a Paul Simon song? Sometimes I would get into a fight with her because of something she was thinking and not something she said. It was silly. We fought a lot because of that. Was it a challenge? Yes. Do I want to know my kids that way? Fuck yes. To be known like that is so precious, to be loved in that way. Mom used to say, you know, I would give away my heart for you too. It scared me. And I would say, Mommy, don't. I knew her love was ferocious. She was saying, "You are a part of me." She felt that way about Celia and Simone too. She loved them fiercely. The harpist was let in because my mom was sleepy and in the mood to be sleepy. And she played a few songs. And I asked her if she knew this lullaby that my mom used to sing to me to go to sleep when I was little. I pulled my chair up to my mom's bed, and she held my hand and stared at me. She was warm, and she held me close to her chest that day in hospice. It was so powerful, that comfort. It felt good, and she meant it, and she loved me so much. She was just full of that at the end. She would smile like this. So sweet and funny. And I felt good because I wanted so badly to comfort her, you know, the way she could comfort me. She was hard to comfort, of course, for a million reasons, and only one of them is lung cancer. But that day in hospice, when I said to Mom, as the harpist began the song, "Remember, swing low, Mommy, sing swing low," and she remembered. "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot" is the song. And we laughed gently, and I sang the song tentatively with the hospice harpist. And that day, I comforted her. I helped her. I wanted to so badly, my mommy. She did not want to die. She wasn't ready. She wanted to live. She wanted to go to Europe, where all of her friends were, and she wanted so badly to know where Celia was going to go to college. And she wanted to see Simone do her dance performances and win the city championship. She did not want to refer her clients on. She hated that. She was not ready. And I wanted to soothe her. Now I see her fiery Leo lion self. She's on the cusp. Going out the way she lived. She was authentic, charming, funny, so smart, both a loving and pragmatic human. She made all those around her love her and remember her and trust her. People felt close to her. Everyone did. That is how she liked it, and she meant it. She did not want to die. So in that vein, she did not want a funeral. She did not want us here without her. She wanted to see everyone here. She wanted to tell me what outfit she liked best and to plan a menu. And that, my friends, is what it is. In her honor, let's not sugarcoat it. We agree, Mom. You were not done with us, and we were not done with you. I love you. Okay, now we're going to sing the song that I sang in the hospice room. But you can.
And to join Kate, I'll invite Celia and Simone, Julie, Stella, and Jason.
It's our hard acts to follow. First of all, thank you everybody for coming today, this afternoon. I hope you'll excuse me if I get emotional during my talk. My editors were Kate and Hardye's dear friend, Louise Penny, who honored Hardye by introducing Agent Hardye Moel in the latest book, World of Curiosities. I'm going to read and reminisce about 9 quotations from Hardye. Actually, one of them is similar to what the rabbi had to say, but I will continue. There actually is an unabridged list of quotations, but probably not considered fit for house of worship. But anyway, I'm going to start out with number 1. Let's see. Yes. Quotation marks, "You are guilty of elder abuse." This was one night late in our journey, and when she was really quite sick, and all things go sour at night. I guess I was hovering over her too much, and she apologized in the morning. Number 2, this one is familiar. Sometimes she would love the fact that she was number 1 in my life. And she asked, "How can you do all of this for me?" I told her it's easy when you love someone so much. Number 3, toward the end of the journey, we were going to inpatient hospice to get better control of pain. She said, "I don't want to live in pain. I don't want to die in pain." How poignant. Number 4. During the hospitalization, she gained much better pain control. And she was feeling better. But one night she said, she had this patient control button, and she was pleased with that. And of course, this is accomplished at an expense. And one night she said, "I am so confused. Tell me what's going on." Well, the pain was better and better controlled, but it was difficult for me to hear what she said. Number 5, every morning she asked me, "Please make me a cup of coffee." Near the end of the journey, she was not eating or drinking. A cup of coffee would sit on her nightstand, and I think it was just the aroma that made her feel better. Number 6, almost done. Hardye did not like taking pills. She did take all of her important anti-cancer pills without any problem. However, frequently, when I asked her to take a pill, she would get mad at me and say, "All you are is a pill pusher." I've been taking that pill for so many years, and it doesn't help. I need my autonomy. I knew what that meant from my doctor hat that I once wore, and I respected it. Number 7, finally, on more than one occasion, she would say, "When I am gone, you'll find yourself a new girlfriend who isn't sick all the time. Wait a year, can't be blonde." I told her that hurt my feelings, and she tried not to upset me too much. Finally, actually, Kate helped me a little bit. This is number 8. Speed it up, Zadie. I am known for being a slow speaker, walker, driver, and reader. However, Simone, when she was very young, and I was driving her someplace, said, "Zadie, slow down." But the difference we had, we joked about. She also was a multitasker, and I'm not good at that at all. But we laughed about it. Finally, I remember so well, I was returning from a workout, and Hardye called me and told me the results of the CT scan of her chest. It showed a 4-centimeter lesion in her lung, and most likely it was cancer. We both cried, and she said to me, "Do not ever leave me." I tried to do that, and with the help of Kate and Adam, we fought for her till the end. Thank you.
When we lose someone we've cared about after a long illness, sometimes the years of the illness can loom large in our minds. And those last pictures in the hospital, feeling ill, not looking themselves in some way, those are what are burned in our brains as we say goodbye. And yet, over time, as we gain distance and perspective, those last few years become a part of a full picture of a life well lived. The illness is not who Hardye was when she was who she was. She faced that illness with courage and with strength because that's who she was her whole life. And so as we find time, as we achieve space, we hope that we will also find that elusive quality when someone has left our lives who impacted it so strongly. It's a simple word in Hebrew or in English. It is shalom. It is peace. When someone is gone, we wish shalom aleichem, peace upon them. But we also say shalom aleinu, peace to us as well, as we say goodbye. If you are comfortable standing, I invite you to stand for just a moment. On the back of the service folder you received on the way into the room, you will find a humanistic adaptation of the traditional Kaddish. This text shifts the meaning to this world and to the people standing here, praising the quality and wishing for the arrival of peace in our hearts and in our lives. I'll lead the text in Aramaic. Those who are comfortable can join me. You'll find the cadence is similar to the traditional rhythm. and then we can recite the English all together as well. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shlomo ba'alma. Nivra Shlomo chirutana v'namlich malchute b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru shalom. Yehei Shlomo Rabba mevarach leolam u'le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach, yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shlomo be'alma brichu. Le'ele min kol birchata v'shirchata, tushbachata v'nehemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru shalom. Yehei Shlomo Rabba v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru shalom. Na'aseh shalom ba'olam aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru shalom. And the English text as well. Wonderful is peace in the world. Let us create a peaceful world, and let us establish its kingdom now and in the future. May peace come upon us to bless our lives. May we always continue to honor peace in the world, even though no praise can equal the importance of its reality. May peace and life prevail for us and for all Israel. Let us work to create peace here on earth for all people, and let us say, peace, shalom. In response to the words of this poem, I invite you to say the words together, we remember her. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, together, we remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember her. In the opening of the buds and in the warmth of summer, we remember her. In the rustling of leaves and the beauty of autumn, we remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember her. So long as we live, Hardye Moel too shall live, for she is now a part of us as, together, we remember her. Let us pause for a moment of silent tribute in memory and in love of Hardye Moel. Our memorial service today concludes with the same words with which we began at the tearing of ribbons. Zecher Tzadik Libracha, the memory of a good person, is a blessing to us. Please be seated.
As the rabbi mentioned, this does conclude our services here at the chapel. The family will be together later today at the Glickman residence, which is 1838 North Wolcott Avenue in Chicago. Again, that is today from 5 p.m., and they will also be together Saturday beginning at 2 p.m. That information is available on the folders that you received as you arrived today, and for those of you joining us via the live stream, that information is also available on our website. At this time, I'll ask everyone to please rise as we escort the family from the chapel, at which time you're welcome to return to your cars. Thank you.